Recording.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting of the Franklin Tourism Commission to order and take roll this evening. Jeff Kadersky. Here. Barbara Wesner. Here. Mark Wiley. Here. If you would all join me in the pledge of allegiance. No, where's our flag?
Well, they moved it again.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It is 6:02, and I'd like to open up the citizen comment period. Do you have any citizen comments? Okay. All right. Seeing no citizens available for comment, we'll close the citizen comment period here at 6:02 and move on to the approval or review of our draft meeting minutes from the October 6th meeting. Those minutes are.
They were in our packet.
They are in our packet.
They're not here.
They were in
Have
the
our
right.
Yeah.
Oops. What did I do?
I motion to approve as written.
I second. Second by Jeff Kadersky. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Reports. Under our first item, we have the Common Council budget presentation. Follow up for all the commission. Happen. John, can I turn it over to you? Sorry?
Yeah,
You had a nice big chunk of it.
it went smoothly. We just described to them what our budget was going to be versus last year. And I think there were just a couple small questions about that. And then we just went on to activities. And I think there was a question or two about the grant program and how that worked.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then they all got a copy of the grant guidelines as well as the form. And they understand online on the website. And so, yeah, that went pretty smoothly. And I think they're waiting for Engage Franklin to schedule something probably in January. I doubt December, but
Yeah, they seem like they would be. The mayor left us with, we look forward to Brandon coming back to talk to us. We didn't really have a meeting. It was overview.
Right.
So I'm sure
didn't give him a chance to prepare a present.
Right.
Want to spring that on him like a week's notice or something like that. So, I mean, if he's ready in December, that's fine. I guess it's for the Engage Franklin board. Set a timetable for it.
really weren't asked. There were those of you there asked me a question by the Common Council. Okay, thank you. One thing that John, when he started, commissioners that were Brandon, from me, frankly. But one thing that didn't happen that I wanted, or it struck me back, we were done, we got up and got out, was to tell council to just mention that of commission members for volunteer commission at the time, and things we've accomplished throughout the year that we've had to meet on various times and talk about. So this didn't get said, but I want to say it now and have an opportunity. I really thank you for the folks who and worked at things. I apologize for not saying that in front of the Common Council. That means. But that was it. I think, like I said, they'll enjoy hearing from Brandon. He's ready to know what's. And then he'll have some collateral material. I'm guessing guide may be in hand by then?
Yeah, he's planning on the visitor's guide being done like this week.
Okay, so that'll be a nice handout, or at least something he can use as a prop to let him know what we got. Anything else?
No, it's basically, an obligatory report that we do. So when you do those, they're not always the highest interest level.
No, in fact, they said, let's just, what did he say, let's get this to record, and they approved it. That was the end of that.
Right.
All right, can we move on to Engage Franklin then?
Yeah, we did not have an official meeting this month because we did not have quorum. But we did update a number of things. So there's no minutes, and I'm going to refer back to what was discussed at the informal. So spent a lot of time. There's continuing consternation about the timing of payments from us to Engage, and I think that's being worked out. And I know you've been involved in a number of emails. So.
Yeah, I mean, last year we set this up so that we would be sending the checks when the money came in. That's why you got a check last month,
right?
And you got a check coming this month.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. It exacerbates the lag time in that we'll hold this meeting tonight,
right?
And yesterday was the deadline to submit vouchers,
right?
Okay, so that means you're going to go the long week at the end of the month. You're going to go the long period for the end of the month to the next council, and it won't go on their agenda. It's going to go on the second council meeting.
Yep.
Because of when you have to turn vouchers in at the city. So you are virtually going to wait a month.
And so I'm just relating what I hear.
Yeah,
I bounce back to them that they are missing some of their contract dates with us too. They owe us a budget, and they have not put together that budget because they were concerned about the timing of the payments from us, and so it's one of these things, And so we've got to, and part of the issue is they have talked with. Well, I shouldn't say they. Laura has talked with Danielle and someplace got the impression that the city was going to cut checks once a month to Engage. And I don't know where that came from. Because we don't get the stuff, we get the stuff quarterly.
Yeah.
Every
Well, the request I heard was, the quarterly checks based on that 70-30 split coming up. But,
right.
Danielle's going to continue to write checks when the money comes in.
Okay.
That's what we were looking to get done is when that money comes in. Let's write the checks. Well, the money didn't come in until late September.
So we may approve a voucher once a month then, once we get in cycle. Okay.
Well, when the money comes in.
When the money comes in.
Right.
So if there's money that comes in, we may get a voucher to approve that would then get sent via the Common Council to them.
Yeah.
So once we're on a regular cycle, they should be getting checks once a month because we'll get through that 1 month delay and then we.
I think what Laura wants, and she's mentioned it, but then we went to, let's get the 70-30 split and then we can start, sending the checks when it comes in, and maybe we misunderstood it. I guess I certainly. Maybe what she's looking for, I know she's mentioned it once, is that we just write the checks for the anticipated funds that are coming in.
Yeah, I think there's misinterpretation on her part as well as Daryl's part. And part of the angst is because they have an invoice, just as we had an invoice last year, the naming right. They're trying to figure out how to do that. So that's what's driving a lot of that concern. So I get that. But with that said, things that they are still working on Novana is pending for November of next year.
Now, Snowvana, this, something different? This
No.
is at the Mosh?
This is at the Mosh.
Okay.
They have met, they are proposing with a number of people to do a hobby card show. So, like baseball cards. We've signed in a partnership deal with UWM. So we are mentioned, we engage Franklin, are mentioned along with hotels in Franklin in the UWM collateral. And so they've signed that. They started having discussions with Flag Football League about hosting games here. But that's ongoing, or that's coming up next year. He's also talking about organizing a pickleball tournament. He looked at doing it at Milwaukee Sports Complex. He feels it's going to be better to do it at Mosh because of the appearance of the facility. And that's it. So I mentioned the visitors guide. He did send that out for approval, and his plan was to get it printed. The only thing we were doing was adding in a couple of restaurants that are going in so that it's as up to date as it can be. And that's going to be shown on the website as well as hard copy.
So you can download like a PDF of it.
Yeah. And I don't, John, did you send that to the commission draft that I sent you?
I think so.
Okay, then you guys, people may not have seen it.
We'll do it.
It's a very, I think it's a very nice looking document. Very much like the website, but it goes into all the hotels, motels, all the restaurants, all the bars, all the activities, the golf courses. Croatian Park is mentioned. So there's a number of things, and he's done a good job of compiling that. And then the intent would be, once we get that published, you start talking about, you want the Hampton Inn to have front billing? Would you be willing to pay $100 a year? Something like that, to do that. So we wanted to prove that, the validity of that. And then we can start talking about, is there money to be made from advertising? So as soon as he has that, I'll make sure everybody gets a copy. But
I'll send it out.
it didn't change appreciably from what I sent to traffic.
So there's no advertising. All right.
No.
Let's get it launched. Get the assets.
Yeah, and so there will be. He's talking about. So it's a thing like this.
Yeah.
So this would be a half page, another half page, a quarter page, or you could do a full page. But we haven't talked about anybody that would want to do it.
Okay.
Maybe.
And is it a publication? Is it 8.5 by 11, or is it actually more of a booklet style?
That I do not know. I do not know that. So I'll find out.
Where will the hard copies be available?
That I don't know either. I don't know what the distribution would be. Probably go to the hotels and restaurants. It's not meant as a newsletter to go out to residents. Meant for visitors.
Yeah, I'll make sure to send that out.
Okay. That's what I know.
What can I ask a question on? Is there been some talk? I know you prior to this. Now, somebody from Engage at each one of our meetings to report, or they're funneling.
I don't know that Brandon was copied on your email. I didn't look to see. He was copied on your meeting invite. I think.
I can put them there.
I think it'd be good to have him come or Daryl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's a valid question.
I have a question too. You mentioned that we're mentioned
on the UWM materials. What is that exactly? Or why? What's the connection?
So we were approached by UWM for partnership. And this all happened while I was in Utah.
Okay.
So I'm fuzzy on that. But
Is that because they play baseball?
baseball, yes,
Okay, Franklin.
yes.
Okay.
So they do a digital email blast, do digital program ad, and things that Engage Franklin has to provide them for the Franklin hotels. The list on the Panthers.com travel list. So it's not so much written stuff; it's things that teams that come to play in Franklin know that they could stay at the Hampton, or that kind of thing. And there's 8 ads in the digital program, and I can't tell how many sponsor messages featured in the email blast. But that's the kind of thing.
Circle back to that Silvana. That could have taken place in the new year, this winter season within the new year, or next fall.
A year from now. That's my understanding. There's nothing imminent, and we're no longer pursuing the snow sculpting.
Okay. Jeff mentioned snow. Like a post, as a sponsor.
Yeah.
And you've all seen the Christmas tree go up over at. So they're getting ready. I think it opens. I think it's Friday. Yeah. So I don't know. Last year we were involved. By the hotel, you saw some reindeer. And things.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Not this year. So I don't know where it's going or what's going on. I'm mentioning Jeff, and Jeff's not getting much. So can't tell you if they're doing that at the Sleep In / Mainstay Suites. If they're going to do some little display.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. Yeah.
But I can tell you, I'm looking forward to the location now because last year it was solid. There was a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they do just as well, if not better. All right, moving on then from the reports, we have under unfinished business. Our first item is investment vision for retained funds. I came across some good news this week that I'd like to just mention to all of you and solicit your opinion. Bill Elliott was approved by the council, right, to be a tourism commission. So you're talking about somebody with some tourism experience and at a high level, and also has been involved in some, at least he's aware of some larger projects that communities have undertaken, right? I was wondering if it would be okay. We put it on it's unfinished business because we started talking about it. Just what do we do with some of the funds that we retained over the last couple of years to help offset this delay and the funds that we don't get in the beginning of the first and second quarter, and then we get our funding in the third and fourth quarter. Now that we're about to move to a 70-30 split every month because we've reached that level of funding, city room tax, the need for that cushion has diminished, and so we're looking at what should we do with those funds. That's what this is about. I'm going to suggest if it's okay, we table this to the next meeting and let Bill get in maybe so we can talk about how we might approach this, and if there's going to be a subcommittee or a group of folks on this commission that want to specifically get involved and solicit ideas, just opening it up for
I
comment.
think it's a good idea.
Mhm.
Because Bill, I agree, Bill will be a good addition to the commission. And it makes sense to include him in that discussion.
I think given that, we had some comments about, do we want to have this facility or that facility on there, probably get started research as to what we've all done. I mean, we've got the studies that we've done with Carl, we've got Engage Franklin, strategic plan. This group did a strategic plan in 2020 on July 18th. Now, I see the agenda, but I haven't seen what the results are. Some background information to be gathered. I think that somebody will gather some information. It's almost like a strategic planning process, but very, very specific.
Right.
Could I ask a question? We have, the vision here is for retained funds. Right now, we don't really have funds except through the city. The city
Correct.
retains them,
Correct.
correct?
Well, they have the bank account.
Yeah, they have the bank account, but we don't have control to put it into a CD or whatever and invest that ourselves?
I don't know. I don't know if you have, if you can do that or not, but I mean, you have spending authority over it. So
Money
I
market
could
is
ask.
paying 4.5%.
Yes, right. We could at least make some money on it. Mhm.
Well, I think, again, we didn't know if Bill would be here tonight because just this happened. Sort of not be. But strategic planning.
Yeah, I think it makes
If
sense.
you don't mind, or you're okay with everyone, we can certainly pull together resources. We do have, because you're right. We also did.
Teal did
The initial.
the branding for, the community.
Mhm.
I don't know if they did any planning about investing dollars. There wasn't any
No.
strategic.
No.
No, they
I don't-
didn't. They
I
didn't
don't recall
get
that.
into any plans kind of thing.
They had some limited number of interviews. I don't know where that
Yeah.
occurred
And business.
in businesses, yeah. So I don't know that there was ever anything published about that. I don't know, there might be something.
Yeah,
I can look at the
before
brand.
your time.
All I've ever seen is branding. Well,
Yeah.
no, I've had to go through
Yeah.
the files, and all I've seen is branding items and the logos that came out of it. Banner program came out of it, and
Right. Although the initiative,
wayfinding.
I do recall this, and the reason that we put in 50/50 basic is that we wanted, the city wanted a logo, right, for rebranding, and we wanted the tourism development wanted to understand, what we had, what our assets were, where there were opportunities. And again, it's been a while. That's 7 years.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yes.
That was part of their scope. We have to find that back. We'll have to see what that. I remember they gave us a report, and they gave us. I may even have it. Period. I'm sure I do. So I'll look through here.
Okay.
Do we need a motion to table that item or not?
It's under
I don't
unfinished
know.
business.
Or do we have to do?
I don't.
Yes. Okay.
But
Yes.
well, one thing. So to go back to what your vision was, is we're looking to invest in assets that can make a change in the community as far as tourism.
And that could take talked about is that could be physical structure or some sort of brick and mortar kind of asset, or it could be technology. It could be the funding behind a major festival that gets started, so gets off the ground, that rolling will become another civic fest, civic celebration kind of thing. So it could take a variety of forms, but I guess one of the criteria would be that whatever it is, benefit from a potential investment, not thousand. And that also may create a monster that requires, a level of funding from this.
Right.
Okay. That's something. So it generates revenues or opportunities, so very similar to the guide. Start advertising. We're going to be able
Right.
to remove the cost of the business guide. So those are just some thoughts on it.
Now that I think about just the experience at the commission or the city council, they avoid cabling issues, but they put it off until the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be.
That we're actually not tabling, but we're
Move to put the item A,
item A
to
agenda for.
put it off to the next meeting. Next
Okay.
meeting, council meeting.
I will so move. We put item A on the agenda for next month.
I second.
By Mark. This agenda item A under our next. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Banner bracket proposal.
Okay, so, sat down with the mayor and with the director of public works, not the director of public works, the superintendent of the Department of Public Works. And he needs to come up with his engineering data, the data that shows that light poles are not rated for any other kind of load. But he did share with me that the county light poles and We Energies light poles still are under agreement. And as I read the documents that I have, is that we had permission to mount any or put up any brackets or banners in the county and We Energies right of way. Okay, so I'm confirming that the poles in their right of way are their poles, because intergovernmental agreements sometimes let the city put stuff on county land and vice versa. So I'm confirming that, but that would be the case. And so I looked at the maps that I have and the tally sheets, and the city only has 6 poles. And so we could probably just forge on with getting the brackets mounted on the other 66 poles, or get the other 66 banners mounted. Some of them are double brackets, some of them are singles. Let me just see, tell you exactly what that is. So there are 55 double brackets and 22 single brackets. Take away 6, and that'll be 20 or 16 single brackets. So that'd be 71 altogether for banners. So we could go ahead and start that process and contract to get those brackets in. The contract is that you have in front of you was for $34,000. I guess I would just leave the limit there. I don't know if stuff's gone up since then, but we can certainly get the brackets, and then we have to wait to pay for the mounting of it. We can either carry it over.
We have the banners.
We have the banners. Yep. We can carry that over, or we can see if that's just if they do it all at once. You buy the brackets, the mounting comes with it, but the mounting part of it is, the mounting part of it under the contract we have written is $7,600. But again, we leave the limit as I calculate it per banner and per bracket, it would be $32,000. Again, I don't know what shift that has. If there's any kind of a premium for doing less of them, but we approved the expenditure at that level.
Right. So what am I missing here as far as what we can do with the brackets? What,
We can put the brackets up, as I have been informed by the Superintendent of Public Works, we can still put brackets up on the We Energy light poles in the counties.
which is how many? A majority of the poles or just
Yeah.
those?
Yeah, it's 71.
71.
There's 71 banners we can mount.
Okay, the 6 that you mentioned are city poles, and those would be off limits.
Right.
And that's where the brackets currently are on it. I mean, everything we're talking about.
There's some.
Yeah. So would we be reallocating then brackets on the new poles that are owned by the county or We Energies? Would there be some new mounting locations because of this?
No, the locations wouldn't be new. That's why we're able to do it.
Yeah.
They're just going to replace brackets that have already been destroyed and come down.
Okay, so we're not adding to our location of brackets. We're just putting brackets where
We're
to
replacing
replace the ones that were damaged,
Yep.
or all of them, I guess. Right, and we can do that on a majority of them, with the exception of the 6 that the city says those are ours, and we're not coming. Or we're not.
Yeah, as long as it's not. Yeah.
Okay.
So like I say, I'm going to confirm that.
Okay. But didn't we approve this?
We did,
Before-
but the holdup was the city was saying, no, we don't.
Right.
We don't want to do this on our poles, and so we're going to get some verification of that for the DPW. But the other ones are still, the other agreements are still in effect, just
Okay.
like that, and hasn't been any objection there. I will inform the county and the energies that we intend to continue with the agreement. Because the last thing we want is to have the contractor out there trying to install poles and police stop by or We Energies or the county stops by or the sheriff stops by and says, what the heck are you doing?
So we've approved this already. We've now clarified what poles we can put these on as action. Or is this just more informative from?
Actually not. Unless we get past the end of the year and then we carry it over and then the budget.
All right. That report, yeah. They can get after it. Let us know, and we're
Yeah.
seeing some
If we have any other
brackets going.
obstacles.
All right.
Thank
good.
you.
All right. Item C, Tourism Commission Grant Program. Got the items. So, yeah, please.
So, go ahead. Did you have anything?
Oh, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't in front of you for anything.
Okay.
No.
All right. We reviewed what the answers to the questions were on what the impact for increased room nights from the soccer club having the new turf field, and for every year that the Savez Juniors tournament is in town, you'll see 966 room nights, and the routine increase from year to year is going to be 216 room nights just from the increased tournaments they have beyond. Any other information?
No.
Do you know how often the Savez Junior Tournament will be here?
It's on a revolving schedule between host cities, between 3 different cities within in the U.S., between us, Cleveland and Chicago, and then co-host cities within.
Because we're recording this, I wonder if it makes sense to just record.
Absolutely. My name is Matt Sarich. I'm the treasurer and board member for Croatian Soccer Club. So we had the pleasure of presenting here probably about 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer.
Probably 2 months ago.
And then found the grant application process to be quite simple, straightforward. Hopefully, we provided some of what the capital project is, how that'll make the park itself be more attractive, and enable us to host high-level tournaments, leagues, gameplay, and in turn, we would be more than happy to work with guidance from this commission in terms of hotels and restaurants we should advertise in our different publications. We have an email listing of 1,000 local families from a national and international subset between US and Canada that each triples, and then there are 350 supporters in our distribution that we routinely email to. So in terms of wide reach and span, what we have here is broad, and continuing to then offer a high-level playing surface at the park will enable us to host largely gameplay tournaments, and then in turn, that's all out-of-state travel. That would turn into nights along with restaurant and other entertainment potentials.
So in those years that Savez Juniors is not here, will there be other tournaments that you're filling in with?
Absolutely.
So the Savez is a much wider scale.
It is. It's an international federation of Croatian soccer clubs across Canada and the U.S. And that extends to not only what was mentioned here was specific to the juniors tournament. There is also a men's or an adult tournament as well that also goes revolving rotation. I don't necessarily believe we may be application potential larger.
If have you seen that?
Yeah.
You have
I think you sent it out.
You got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was in the packet, 2 packets ago, last packet, actually, last packet.
Yeah. Well, to have you here, are there any other questions?
No, I thought your answers were beneficial, and they helped understand what the potential scope could be. So I appreciated that. Is there a timing on when the funding needs to be there?
We are looking to break ground in summer of this upcoming year, so summer of 2025.
Okay.
And then in anticipation of, we're a 501c3, and this isn't anything that we would be accepting any sort of a loan. It's all through sponsorship opportunities that we have within the field, naming rights and other sponsorship opportunities, grants that we're applying for, and then initial seed investment from the club itself. And so we will not continue or break ground on the project until we have the entirety of the summer required to be built.
So if it takes 2 years to get all the funding, you'll hold off for 2.
That is correct.
I'm not saying that. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just
Sure, but in theory,
That's
yes.
the reality of.
In theory, yes.
Yeah. Not like there's a hit or a diff or anything.
Right.
Well,
The full intent is to break ground this summer.
Yeah. Okay.
in actuality, sidewalks and acceleration, deceleration are being done for the Croatian complex.
Oh, there's sidewalks going in down there?
Within the
Not
park itself.
within their part of it, but for the Croatian park itself.
Oh, along 76th Street, there's.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
That's what
Okay.
And the grant application amount hasn't changed, right? We're looking at 100,000.
That is what we
Or-
sought. I will definitely not say no if there are multipliers to that number. Nor would I believe any of my colleagues.
All right.
I'll give you my input on that. I think that this would be a benefit to the city. I can see a path to more hotel nights, which is that's our main purpose. And I can see where parents and kids that come in are going to want to go to Dairy Queen. They're going to want to go to any of the restaurants that are around. So I think it's a benefit to the city, and I think it would be a good use of our funds. So I would.
Now this is just a one-time.
One-time construction effort?
I mean, yeah, we're not going to be continuing
No, it's
for naming rights or anything.
it's not 100,000 per year. It's,
Right.
It's
That's
100,000.
You're looking for just a one-time
Right.
construction.
Again, we won't say no.
Right.
However, we are different. If you look at the soccer landscape, some facilities like Bavarian Fields up in, what would that be, Whitefish Bay, they have a restaurant on site. So once you're there, you're really going to be populating that restaurant because it's easy and it's there. We don't have that. And so once our folks are here to play, families rarely come, me being with 2 other children that are traveling, going to over to Minnesota in 2 weeks. Once we're there, we have to eat elsewhere.
Right.
And so it isn't something that we would just, have on site and then fulfill need. It would be something that they would have to support the local establishments. And if we have the potential to kind of seed their interest in terms of telling them, oh, by the way, these are different hotels that you'd like to stay at. It's within a 5-minute drive of the park. Here is some entertainment. You have the Rock. You have all kinds of restaurants within the boundaries of Franklin. It really isn't to go elsewhere.
I would say, Jeff, there was a couple months ago, there was a request from Croatian Park itself.
Right.
And that's totally separate.
Yeah.
It is.
I remember that.
That was for adding or doing the pavilions
Right.
and things like that. So
How do you, for the dollar amount involved, how do you see what bucket this? We started the grant program. I don't know if we had to talk about what that grant might look like. I recall some of the discussion, 5,000 less or something along those lines, or something that fit into the budget that we had, which we have dollars set aside. Now this exceeds that, and it's. I'm asking, does this fall under something we talked about a little bit earlier, and that would be investment.
that's part of why I asked the question of when was the funds? When are the funds? Because I was looking through my stack here. I don't recall how much excess money we have right now. But certainly after the turn of the year, we start getting fourth quarter results in. Should be in a better position. And it sounds like we would have at least 6 months to do something. Because what you're looking for really is a pledge of the money.
Correct. We would take that as definitely.
Yeah.
That they would come.
Could somebody explain how this is, and I'm trying to be supportive here, how the Tourism Commission should be asked to do this rather than Engage Franklin? Is Engage Franklin in a position to perhaps do better than we?
I can answer that by saying Engage Franklin doesn't have any money.
Okay, I guess that explains it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tourism Commission
Has
is contracted with Engage Franklin to do
right.
promotion and
Yes.
marketing. And Tourism Commission also has the authority to spend dollars to do, capital. So it has the ability.
Just wanted to clarify
If you want
that
to
for
change
myself.
the
And I
relationship some,
I understand the question because part of what we think Engage Franklin should be doing is promoting Franklin in general. Restaurants and things to do in Franklin that might not generate overnight stays. What we're charged with is generating overnight stays, and that's why I appreciated the effort you put into that. And I think
Right.
966 hotel rooms that's a good number. And that'll help beat things farther down the road. I don't think Engage looks at things like that. They should be looking at. I think they should be looking at how do we promote Franklin in general. Franklin is a place to come to visit, to eat, to drink, party, that kind of thing. That's where I would draw the difference.
Okay.
But they don't have any money right now unless we give it to them.
Right, okay, understand.
To a lesser extent from the turf, when it's not in use specifically, for whatever reason I can't answer, soccer in Wisconsin takes place between March and June, and then really the middle of August to November. The complex itself at the park would not be used for the majority of the summer, and that is opportunity additional for the club to then make rentals to different outlets that would need turf, like lacrosse, like football, like anything else. Those are opportunities that we would use as a money generator ourselves to rent space, because land is at a premium, and if it falls within the bandwidth of a tournament, it wouldn't need league, let's just be honest. It'll probably be a tournament that could draw from the outside. That's certainly things that we'd be looking at as a club to sell, to offset our own costs, to generate revenue, and then that would also be an opportunity in the United States. I can't provide you a number. That is certainly within our business plan for longevity of the turf itself.
Can you give, I think you brought up an important point here. Can you give those dates where most of your tournaments would occur? What said March through June?
The league landscape of soccer in Wisconsin is March through June. That is when the Wisconsin Youth Soccer Association, WISA, that is our sanction.
So if you're holding tournaments, they might be in this time frame.
Certainly,
Yeah.
when we
And
do,
then-
yes. And then again, August through November.
That's
This was a local tournament that we had, but the weekend of September 27th through the 29th, we hosted 174 teams across 2 different locations between Croatian Park, and we partnered with Ben Franklin Elementary School. We partnered with Assistant Chief Stowers. I was working directly with him for a police presence to ensure that people felt safe, and to obviously help with the ingress and egress of parking. Wildly successful, and to say that couldn't be something that wouldn't be replicated for older, traveling teams, is exactly why we're trying to build this.
Jeff? Thoughts?
No, I mean, to me, my big thing is the amount of money and the investment into it. Are we opening up a box of, we don't have I mean, to me, I don't think we have enough revenue to share with everybody. But the concern is, if we're going to be funding a construction project, that can open up a can of something that we not want to back out of. That's the only concern, like, how do you say, okay, Dairy Queen is going to build something, so, then how do we deny that? So we have to somehow, between us, justify, or, and like I said, appreciate the overnight stays. That's a big thing. We have that capability. That's the only concern I have on the amount of money funding that given, because it's going to be asked by others. That's why I look.
I think one example might be Forte Theater. They've always wanted to have their own theater that we're trying to build. So that's one example of where that could be a request for some capital money as well. So,
And it is the capital thing. This is a little different, but is the capital thing something should be presenting all this funding to that, the full amount? I mean, that's what the only thing going through. Like Barbara said, theater wants to build. Well,
Does Forte Theater generate overnight stays?
That's just.
That's been the question.
that's a
Right.
question,
And that's,
sure.
and that's the question that
And actually,
limits the investments other
going back to what Barbara asked,
venues.
I would say that the Forte thing might be an Engage Franklin, because you're going to bring people in for the day. It doesn't do anything for us.
Right.
I mean, that's where my head's at there. And that's why I appreciated the effort you put into this. Will generate, if these tournaments come, it'll generate hotel stays.
Well, and to follow up on what Jeff said, I think it's just the sheer dollar volume that puts it in set up a budget for grant application 4 times what our budget is at, or 3 times. So it'll take go there. It looks like it has to go over what we were talking about, where we change funds that we have. And if we're doing that, that's where Jeff is saying there are some folks that have approached us about projects that there have been some claims about how room nights will be, generated. And we're ready to tackle that now. That this is now something we know there's a couple of folks that said, got a bigger project here. If you guys are willing to think a little bit bigger, and that's what we're trying to do. I just think if that's where this is moving, if it's in that bucket, we're just not prepared at this minute. Right, based on our previous, the fact that we tabled our move to the next meeting, the investment vision. And this is kind of where I see this project grant application falling in, because of the dollar. And the fact that it is more infrastructure related. Which, yes, will allow you to, but it's a less direct form of promotion. I guess we have to decide, this.
I guess the question is, is it going to be an all or not proposal? Or, they say, oh, we want the 100,000. Say yes, or do we say come back and say, okay, this is what we're comfortable funding at this time? Would they be willing to, agree to that? And maybe we best look at it, since it's not that they don't need the money for another 6 months or something.
Right.
We can look into it, see where we're at financially.
Yeah.
Or can we pledge, yes, but that it'll be on a rolling scale, like over 2 years, something, rather than one time. I'm not sure if that's acceptable.
Well, would a pledge be acceptable to you that
Without a time frame.
without a time frame? I mean, would that help you meet your timetable? Because it's not a loan in that sense.
Correct. And
That's the downside.
the pledge, yes, to some level of the amount would be helpful, because we are going to have the entirety of funds either in the bank or through a rock solid pledge,
Yeah.
just so that once we have this aligned, we can sign a contract and we know they're going to be right off the bat. This club's been around for 100 years. We're not one that's been growing through acquisition. If you see a soccer club at the end of the title, it says United, merged for whatever reason, whether through old GE Healthcare gobbling up everyone else, or because they had to in order just to stay alive. We're a club that's been around for 100 years. I think it's the oldest continuously operated. I know it's the oldest operated club in North America. We've been in Franklin since 1956. If you looked at what our playership base was 6 years ago, 8 years ago, it was less than half of what we have right now. We've made the right hiring decision. We've decided to grow slowly, more organically, and intentfully. And so this is just a natural progression of. I think when I was here at the last meeting, I made the comment, I don't care what anyone's budget is for a home. It's 25,000 or 100 or 100 million. The whole word is granite countertops, granite. Doesn't care what your budget is. In the landscape of soccer, especially in Wisconsin due to inclement weather, turf is the preferred player base, because if you're going to have teams traveling from outside the state, they don't want to commit that dollar amount of travel to have weather in the form of snow or wind or rain, more than likely, cancel the event, and now you have a whole host of families that can't play, and they've wasted considerable funds.
Have you had that in the past where you've had events scheduled, you've had to cancel weather?
We have. I began my officership and treasurership over at the club in 2018. The first 2 tournaments that I had the pleasure of being an officer for, I insured. So they were both canceled and we were able to collect on
All right,
the losses.
I'll make a motion. Well, I'm still formulating.
Okay. All right.
I'll move that Tourism Commission moves forward with pledging $100,000 for the turf project for Croatian Fields. And my reasoning for that is the estimated number of overnight stays that this will generate due to people coming from out of town, from international audiences. And that furthers the goals of the Tourism Commission.
So in summary, your motion to approve.
Yes. And I would say that we would need to figure out the timing of that disbursement. So I'm saying we give them the pledge that we will go ahead with that, but we're not giving them the $100,000 today.
That's what I was saying. I was going to say, decide how much when we can give.
So this motion really is the pledge that will give that amount.
It gives
No
them
problem.
it gives
Yes.
them the information they need to go ahead and continue fundraising and start setting up things in motion.
But it does not include a timetable.
But we know their timetable. We know when they're going to need it. So
Right.
we have between now and then to sort it out, which we believe we'll have the money coming in if we don't already have the money.
For something like this, I would even say my father played for this club when he came to this country. I played for this club. My sons play for this club. I don't plan on going anywhere. So if there's even like a pledge like this that I know, I would put up my own funds in the event that we needed to finalize this, knowing that then I would be paid from that, because that's how important a project like that is to this board. Not just myself, our president and our secretary, our director of coaching, vice president, everyone.
But you have what you need to write what I think I said.
The Tourism Commission pledges $100,000 to the Croatian Soccer Club turf field as it creates overnight stays, timing to be determined.
I would second that.
All right, so we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? But it passes. All right. So then we'll work on the.
Yes.
All right.
I think you did a good job on everything I've seen.
Thank you.
I think it's well put together.
And as we grow, it's more of an ROI.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Moving on to the Franklin Lake application discussion, real marketing. I think this is more of an update on with
I just left it there because we didn't know.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss it with Engage, and apparently that hasn't happened, so.
I don't know if he has reached out to her. I
Thank you.
gave
Take care.
him contact information and explained what it was. I don't know that he's reached out.
So
I have to follow up.
we can just scratch it until we hear back.
Yeah.
from
I know
Engage.
when I first talked about it with the Engage Franklin board, that was back before he had started putting together the visitor's guide. And in his mind, he may be thinking, visitor's guide, newsletter. I do know he asked me Wednesday, he asked me on Monday, if there is an existing Franklin newsletter. And I said, yeah, there is. We get it every quarter. It goes to everybody. It got the letter from the mayor. It's got
Engage mail,
Franklin
right?
was in it.
Schools, yeah.
The last quarter.
That's right. Engage Franklin was the lead article.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So I don't know that he's reached out to her, but I will find out.
Okay.
Moving on to item D, I think this item was a follow-up from Danielle's visit.
Yeah, again, this was an item I didn't know if we needed to have on the agenda or not, but
Danielle seemed to get the impression that she'd feel better, the finance department would feel better, if there was a motion from this commission that said, we understand the new rules that, or we're directing you, finance department from the city, to when funds come in now, city room tax funds, just split 70-30, city takes 30, you move that 70% over to the tourism commission so that then we can do our 75% split with Engage, right? Kind of speed, getting to that monthly.
Yeah.
I don't know that she required it, but it seemed like it would be a nice
Laura wanted a motion.
lower, yeah. So does that make sense as far as somebody so that motion would be, I think, basically saying, we are directing the commission,
Requesting
Requesting.
the finance department.
the commission is requesting the finance department to distribute city room tax funds 70-30 between the city and the tourism commission as they're received. Because we've now reached a base level where there's
How about on a monthly basis?
on a monthly basis. Yeah.
But as she gets money, we get 70%.
Right. Where before they would hold and get their 154. Once they had that, then they'd start distributing to the commission. Now we're truly at a level where the city's going to make more than their grandfathered amount because that 30% of theirs is.
Yeah, because they're already getting more.
Right. Yeah, right. Really, should that be a motion that should come from a commission member?
Yeah, I mean, someone
Somebody-
can move and we approve.
So,
John, can you read that motion? If you have it fashioned.
Okay, Tourism Commission requests the City of Franklin Finance Department distribute room tax revenues on a 30-60 split as received monthly.
37.
30-70? 30-70. Right.
I think if we're going to go, it should be like 25-75. Let's go here.
Do we hear
2080.
All right, so we heard the motion. Barbara, are you saying
Yes.
that you
I will
would
make
support
that motion. Yes,
All
I
right.
will make that motion.
I'll second.
You got a second for Mark? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion and recommendation carried. New business, we have this as a placeholder.
I have a question, and I wonder have we ever done the math to determine if all of our hotels were at maximum capacity at a reasonable, room rental rate? How much money could we possibly be bringing in? It's a math thing, and I
Right.
don't know if we have access
it's an
to those
interesting
kinds of numbers.
I don't know that we could,
Can we?
because like you said at the last meeting, that those sheets were
Yeah.
have confidential
Well,
information.
and I think if you're asking, well, what are those numbers? What would we plug in?
Yeah.
I think it's fair to make some assumptions on average daily rate per hotel. Like Staybridge gets a little bit more because it's all suite property. Mainstay Sleep, the product's a little different, so it's a little bit lower than Staybridge. Hampton Inn Suites probably somewhere in the middle, right? But now the real question is, what's the occupancy? What can you assign to your property?
Right.
I will tell you that when developers look at a pro forma and when they solicit a feasibility study, those studies always come back with the same number. That is, after 5 years, you're at 70. So we could use as a fully mature, you're getting your fair share of the market, you're at 70% occupancy. So I guess to do the math, you could take that 70% times the number of rooms that each hotel has. Take your top three, you take your 3 branded hotels, just maybe throw in a couple others, but you take your top 3 branded hotels, take 70% of their rooms times the average daily rate you assign, $139 a night at Staybridge, 109 at 109 at well, then you could come up with a dollar. That would-
And that question came to my mind when he was talking about the tournaments and everything that is happening, which is not going to remain stable. Let's put it that way. It's only going to grow, and most likely, I'm not sure how soon, but we'll have other hotels that will want to be here as well. So I was just kind of trying to figure out what kind of maximum can we
What's that pot look
anticipate?
like?
Yeah, what's that pot going to look like eventually?
Yeah.
Because it'll be more than what we have now, I suspect.
And it looks like every year, we count on more, and especially with the newest hotel, they're just getting going. I mean, seriously, it does take, the reason they take it out 5 years, it takes 3 to 5 years to get to where you feel like you're getting all the business you should be getting, or that you can't get based on your product. Now you're talking about a product that's about a year old, that opened in January, so they're about a year old at the main state. And we can tell they're getting business. They're finding their way. Was that just more of a
It was-
question?
Right, it was. I wasn't looking for
more
any
general
numbers
discussion.
right now, but I think we should kind of anticipate that
No, it's a good
this
question.
pot is going to hopefully increase as time goes on. Then we'll have more opportunities to do those major pledges of big dollars in the future. Whatever that might be. Convention center, perhaps.
Going on that sort of that line, remember Laura was mentioning about trying to make sure that the hotels are paying the fair share of the taxes, the smaller ones. Or what about the Airbnbs? Does I don't know. It sort of went to engage Franklin Laura.
Right. She was looking at something, and
I
I
don't know
haven't
where
heard
she
anything
went.
since.
Yeah, I think is that something maybe Brandon is going to take over, or it's something I think it should be looked at, because that's again it gives Engage Franklin more revenue, gives us more revenue. If we could get more revenue out of some of the non-paying.
I think Danielle and Laura were talking about how they could enforce.
Because I think that was it's been a talk, I think, in other communities. There should be
Do they have to be registered with the city? Or licensed or anything?
No. Well, they have to have occupancy permit for their business purposes.
Okay.
So that's how.
So we would know who they are.
Yeah.
They're getting money out of them.
Yeah, because the inspection department and the fire department, the fire department inspects them annually. When they set up as a business doing, overnight stays, then, the initially to start that, the inspection department inspects. Now, is that happening? I don't know. People have homes that they set up and start advertising, and so that's something I'd have to check with Danielle to see how they know where the operation.
Bill Elliott may have some insight into that as
He
well.
might.
Yes, right. Especially when you see are they sending in dollars? We're getting some money, but we don't know hard to tie it to what's happening in the market. And I will say there are some municipalities that are requesting lodging. Until when a deduction for online travel agents are going to get the tax from their coffers, you're supposed to identify that, so match it up. But we'll say it takes some hotels some time. That may be something to look at. City of Franklin used to say you take 5% of the amount you collected as your fee for collecting it and reporting it to the city. Well, when we went to 8%, what they said, well, how about 5%? 5% of 1 cents to. So we went from getting a nice little chunk, doing this work to down to $50. That's So that may be something, if they want more reporting and more robust reporting, which would be helpful, maybe they. I don't. Anyway, any other new business? All right, can we move on to voucher approvals? We've got a payment voucher in front of us for 75%. I believe it's the only payment voucher. It's the only, purchase item. So it is Gage Franklin, 75%, excuse me, of the $58,514.84 that's been turned over to the river. So just need a motion to approve.
Motion to make the payment. Gage Franklin.
All right, I've got a motion,
I will second.
seconded by Carmen. So we've got a motion to approve payment of $43,000 to Franklin. Got a second by Barbara. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, payment voucher approved. I'll sign this. And next meeting. Meeting in December. Work for everybody.
For me.
We usually do the third week in third Wednesday, right, of the month.
Yes.
And this is December, would be the 18th. What's that?
That date, the 18th, will not work.
Earlier, or we have a quorum, which stick with 18. Jeffrey, you could be around.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 2 weeks
It's 2
away,
weeks away. I don't know if it's,
but next Wednesday.
So here's the city calendar. This will help us. We don't have to worry about the last week. So what day are we thinking?
Well, I guess if we start to a Wednesday, it would be if we're opening everyone for the 11th.
Yep. There's nothing going on that day.
That's okay.
I can do the 11th.
Could we push up to the 11th?
I can do the 11th.
Why don't we change to the 11th? Our next meeting, 11th. All right.
To adjourn.
Second.
Second. All right. All those.
Aye.
Aye.